Hi everyone, Kevin here. Today, we're going to learn how to use Microsoft Copilot Studio. With Copilot Studio, you can build your very own AI agents that answer questions using your own documents, automate repetitive tasks, and even respond to emails, all on their own. And the best part, you don't have to write a single line of code. You just use natural language, like you're chatting with a friend or helpful coworker. We'll walk through everything step by step, so by the end of this video, you'll have your very own AI agents working on your behalf. Let's dive in. To get started, head to the following website. You'll find a link right here at the bottom of the screen. Then sign in with your Microsoft work or school account. Unfortunately, this does not work with personal Microsoft accounts. Once you sign in, on the left-hand side of the screen, click on Chat and then All Agents. Here, you'll find a variety of ready-to-use agents, each designed to handle specific tasks. As an example, right here we have a brand new agent called the Researcher. You can feed this content like documents, reports, or articles, and it'll analyze everything and give you a detailed, comprehensive breakdown. This one is perfect if you need to dig into complex topics quickly. Right next to that, we have another new one called the Analyst, and this one does data analysis on your files. You can upload, let's say, an Excel sheet, and it'll summarize trends, flag outliers, and even help create visualizations. This one is well worth trying. Now, you might be wondering, how are these agents any different from something like ChatGPT? Well, ChatGPT is what's called a general purpose AI. It's great for answering all sorts of questions. These Copilot agents, on the other hand, are task specific. They've been trained and optimized to handle a particular kind of work. Let's say I want an agent that can answer customer questions about the Kevin Cookie Company. ChatGPT won't know our secret cookie policy, but I can train my own agent using our company documents, and it'll give accurate answers every single time. Let's now go ahead and create our own agent. And we have a few different ways to do that. In the top right, we can click on Create Agent. You could also scroll down the page. Here you see the option, and you could even do it over on the left-hand side. Lots of different ways. I'll click on this. This drops us on a simple version of Copilot Studio that we can use to build our AI agent. Later on, we'll look at a more advanced version of Copilot Studio that gives us even more control. Right down here, it says, "Hi, I'm here to help you build an agent." Well, that's very nice of it. You can start by describing what you want the agent to do. I'd like to build a simple customer service agent for my favorite company, the Kevin Cookie Company. You're welcome to follow along, or you could even use your very own example. Right down below, we could also start from one of these templates, but I know exactly what I would like to build. Down below, we have this text field or the prompt field where you could describe your agent. Let me type in my description: create an agent that answers customer questions about the Kevin Cookie Company using our frequently asked questions, or FAQ, and company documents. And let's call it ChipBot. I love that name. Once you finish typing in your description, let's send that. And check that out, ChipBot is now alive. And we could even start asking ChipBot questions. But it probably wouldn't provide very helpful information. And the reason why is we haven't yet told ChipBot how to answer questions. It doesn't even know what our FAQ is. Over on the left-hand side here, Copilot Studio asks us for additional information to continue refining how ChipBot should work. As an example, here it says, could you provide more details on how ChipBot should handle customer questions? Or could you even give me a link to the FAQ? Those are all great questions, so let's give it some more information. Down below, I'll say, please provide concise and friendly responses. Add some humor in as well. We are, after all, a cookie company. If you don't know an answer, don't make up information. Instead, direct customers to our support email address. And then, most importantly, please use the kevinccookiecompany.com as a source of information. Let's now send that. And right up above, we can now see that ChipBot knows how to respond and also what information to use in its responses. We are making fantastic progress. Now that we've gone through the initial setup, right up on top, let's click into Configure. This is where we're going to fine-tune ChipBot and make sure that everything is set up just right. Let's click here. You'll notice that most of this information is already filled in based on what we entered earlier. Still, it's a good idea to review each section and make any adjustments to match exactly how you want your agent to behave. Now, first off, we have to change this image. Let's just say it's very neutral. It doesn't exactly scream cookie expert, does it? To change the image, let's click on this pencil icon. Right over here, let's click on Change Icon. Now, just navigate to where you have your image. Here, I see Chipbot. That's kind of what you'd expect a Chipbot to look like, right? As a quick tip, you can use AI to help generate an image. Simply describe your agent and you'll get a nice looking image. Once you select it, let's click on Open, and here I see Chipbot. Now let's click on Save. Now that Chipbot has a proper identity, let's take a quick look at the name and the description, and I think both of those look good. Next up, we have the instructions. This section guides how Chipbot responds to questions. The best way to think of it is like you're writing onboarding notes for a new team member. You want to be clear, specific, and also kind. This is where you shape the tone. Maybe you want to limit the responses to only sources that you provide. Like here, I call out the kevincookie.com. Or maybe you want to include fallback guidance in case an answer isn't available. Here, we tell customers to reach out to support@kevincookie.com. This is where you provide all of that information. Scrolling down, we arrive at the knowledge section. This is where Chipbot learns what it knows. I've already added our company website, but we could also include additional information. Right up here, I'll click on the search field, and you could pull in things like an Excel sheet, a Word document, PowerPoints, PDFs. You can pull in websites, SharePoint, Teams, and also emails. But I want to pull in my FAQ. So over here, let's close out of this view. And on my computer, I'll select my FAQ file, and here I could simply drag and drop it in. Right down below, you'll see all the different file types that you can pull in. And there I'll release. And just like that, it becomes part of the agent's knowledge base. As a quick note, because I uploaded this file, if any of the information within the file changes, I'll have to upload a new version. If instead I use, say, a website or a SharePoint file, it'll automatically capture the most up-to-date information. So just consider that as you're adding information to your agent. Next up, we have capabilities. These let you enhance your agent with features like the code interpreter or the image generator. These are great if your agent needs to calculate things or create visuals. But in my case, since Chipbot is just answering customer questions, we'll keep it simple and leave these turned off. Down at the very bottom, we've got suggested prompts. These are sample questions that help users know what they can ask. You can edit, delete, or even add your own here. When someone starts a chat with Chipbot, over here on the right-hand side, you can see an example. These prompts show up right there to give people a head start. Let's now test it out. Right down below, let's type in a question. What are the store hours for the Kevin Cookie Company? And let's see if it knows the answer. And here we go. Right up above, it gets our hours. Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7. And here it calls out that Sunday is closed. And look at that. It even included some humor because even cookie monsters need a day off. Nicely done. One of the things I really like is that it even includes a citation to where it got this information from. I can click on this icon and that opens up the original source Word document where it calls out those hours. That way I have confidence in the result that I'm getting back. I really like how this works and I'm now ready to publish this so other people in my organization have access to this agent. In the top right-hand corner, let's click on Create. The agent is now live, but currently it's only available to me. Luckily, we could easily change that. Let's click Change Sharing Settings. Here, I have the option to share with specific users in my organization, or I could simply share with everyone in the organization. I'll click on Anyone. And right down below, let's click on Save. Now I can share this agent with anyone in my organization. I could copy this link. I'll close out of this. Also, over on the left-hand side, here I now see Chipbot showing up as one of the agents in this organization. Here, if I click on all agents, I see it as one of the options. That's beautiful. This agent is already working well. It understands questions and retrieves accurate answers using knowledge that we gave it. Now, that'll probably take you most of the way, but if we want to take it a step further and we want this agent to, let's say, take action, like sending an email or retrieving live data, let's head over to Copilot Studio. You'll find a link right down below, and that'll allow us to unlock even more advanced capabilities. This drops us into the more advanced version of Copilot Studio. Over on the left-hand side, if you'd like to recreate your agent, you could do so right here. I've already done that, so I'll click on Agents, and right here I see Chipbot. To create ChatBot here, I basically went through the same flow. I provided the same instructions and uploaded the same FAQ file. Right over here, I'll click into ChatBot. At first glance, it may appear that we have similar functionality here. I see the image of ChatBot. We have a name, description, and also general instructions. If I scroll down a little bit more, here too, I have those same files as part of the knowledge, the FAQ Word document and the website. But let's click on Add Knowledge. Right away, you'll notice that I have many more sources here. I'm not just limited to uploading file or linking to a SharePoint site. I could also connect to things like Dataverse, Salesforce, ServiceNow. And if I click on Advanced, you'll see even more data sources. I can retrieve information from all these systems and use it in responses. So let's say that a customer wants to check the status of their order. I could connect to the right database. Let's say it's an Oracle database. And then I could have ChatBot pull the information from there directly. That is so powerful. Now, I don't need to bring in any new sources, so in the top right-hand corner, let's close out of this view. Within the knowledge section, you'll notice that we also have something called web search, and currently it's toggled off. This means that ChatBot won't pull in anything from the internet. It'll just use the information that we provide it. Now, that's exactly what I want for a controlled on-brand experience. Next, we have a section called Tools. Now, tools let your AI agent go beyond just answering questions. They allow it to actually do things like, let's say, sending emails or maybe updating records. Let's try adding one. Right over here, let's click on Add Tool. You can connect your agents to over 1,500 different tools. In the top left-hand corner, let's click on All, and here you'll see how comprehensive this list is. Chances are, if you'd like to use a service or a tool, you'll find it here on this list. I'll go back up to the top, and then let's switch into the Flow view. You can also call a Power Automate Flow. If you're curious about what that even is, you can check out a video in the description down below that gives an introduction to Power Automate. Let's click back on Featured. Along with these different tools and Power Automate flows, you can even connect to your own backends and even APIs. In this case, I want ChatBot to send an email. So right here, I see the Office 365 Outlook connector. Let's click on that. There are tons of different actions available within Outlook, but I simply want to send an email. So right over here, I see the option for Send an Email V2. Let's click on that, and then let's configure it. When a customer has a conversation with ChatBot, I want ChatBot to ask the customer if they want an emailed copy of the conversation. If the customer answers yes, then ChatBot will use this tool that we're creating to email a summary to the customer. Right down below, let's click on Add and Configure. At the very top, we can give this tool a name. I'll set it to send an email and also a description, email response to customer. This will help the agent know when to use this tool. Let's scroll down a little bit more to the section titled Inputs, and this is where the magic happens. We're telling Copilot Studio what should go into the email. Here we see the input name to, and currently it's set to dynamically fill with AI. ChatBot will figure out who to send the message to based on the conversation that it's having with the customer. We also have the subject, and currently that's set to dynamically fill with AI. The AI will generate a subject line that fits the topic of the conversation with the customer. And lastly, we also have the body. And again, this is dynamically generated. This will include the original question and ChatBot's response in the email body. Now, you could also set it to a custom value if you want to set a fixed subject line or maybe a body in the message. But I'm good leaving it set to dynamically fill with AI. So over here, I'll click out of that. Once everything looks good, in the top right-hand corner, let's click on Save. And just like that, ChatBot can now send emails on command. Now that we've added our Send an Email tool, we need to tell ChatBot when to use it. To do that, we need to update the instructions. So up on top, let's click back into the Overview. Back on the Overview page, let's click on the Edit icon next to Details. And if we scroll down just a little bit, we can see the general instructions. So right here, let's add an additional step. I'll say after answering a user's question, ask if they would like the response emailed to them. If they say yes, use the Send an Email tool to send a summary of the question and the response. I think that sounds good. Let's now scroll back up to the top and let's click on Save. Let's now test it out. Over on the right-hand side, let's ask a question. What are your hours? And let's see what it says. Right up on top, it returns the open hours, and it also asks me if I would like this information emailed to me. Perfect. So right down below, let's type in yes. And just like that, I received the answer in an email message, just like I was expecting. Back within Copilot Studio, over on the left-hand side, we have what's called the activity map. This shows us step-by-step how ChatBot or your agent is processing the conversation. Right up on top, I can see the knowledge that it referenced in its response. Then I said that I wanted the information emailed to me. So here it called the send an email tool. And here we see what values it filled in into the email. Then at the very end, it completed its response, just like I expected it to. Now that we've given our agent its first tool, let's see if we could have it work autonomously or without us needing to be involved. To do that, we're going to add what's called a trigger. Up on top, let's click back into the overview. Back within the overview, let's scroll down the page until we see a section called Triggers. Triggers let your agent get to work or basically activate when something specific happens, like let's say a new email arrives or maybe someone submits a form. Let's click on Add a Trigger. Here we see some of the featured examples. Right down here, when a row is added, modified, or deleted. Maybe a new customer order is added and we want an agent to take some action. We could do that. Over on the right-hand side, when a new response is submitted via Microsoft Forms, you could then have your agent take some action. Now, I'd like to respond to an email message, and right down here, I see an option that says when a new email arrives. Let's click on this one. Then down below, let's click on Next. On this screen, you can give your trigger a name. I'll stick with the default. Then down below, you'll also have to make sure that you're signed in to all the different services that are being leveraged. I've already done that, so at the very bottom, let's click on Next. On this screen, we can set up filters for this trigger. So does the email have to be in a certain folder? Should it come from a certain person? Right down below, should the subject include certain words? I want this to trigger anytime I receive an email in my inbox. My inbox is purely meant for customer questions, so I would like the agent to respond to all incoming email. So for now, I'm going to leave all of these set as is. But remember, you can go through and you could customize all of these different values. Now, down at the very bottom, let's click on Create Trigger. It has successfully added the trigger, so let's now test it out. Over here, let's click on Close. Before we can test the new trigger, we need to remove the instruction where we ask the customer whether we should send the email. I simply want it to respond to all emails. To edit the instructions, let's go back to the Details section and then click on Edit. Let's scroll down just a little bit, and here we see those general instructions. Let's remove this step. And then once we do that, go back to the top and click on Save. Now, let's scroll down the page. And right within the trigger section, we have the option to test the trigger. Let's click on this. Now, I need to trigger the event, so I'll send an email to the inbox. Here, I've composed a message. Let's send that to the new ChatBot. Back within Copilot Studio, it looks like it detected the email message with the question. Let's now click on Start Testing. Back within my email, here I have a response from ChatBot. That's pretty cool. Back within Copilot Studio, you can also set it up so your agent can hand off to or collaborate with other AI agents. But overall, I'm satisfied with the way ChatBot turned out. It's trained, it's connected. I think it's ready to go. And now it's time for the final step, publishing. In the top right-hand corner, let's click on Publish. Here, I get some additional information. This all looks good. I'll click on Publish. And just like that, ChatBot is now live and it'll respond to any email that I receive in my inbox. Of course, you can also make it so people can access your agent elsewhere. Right at the very top, let's click into Channels. With Channels, you can define where people can interact with your agent. Here's an example. You have Teams, SharePoint, a web app, native app. You even have third-party chat services like Slack and Facebook Messenger. To activate any one of these channels, simply click on it and then run through the different connection steps. Before we wrap up, let's take a quick look at how to track your agent's performance, because even AI needs a little bit of supervision. In Copilot Studio at the very top, let's click on the Activity tab. Here, you'll see a history of recent interactions. You could even click into any one of them to see exactly what the user asked, how your agent responded, which tools or knowledge sources it used, and if anything went wrong. It's kind of like a flight recorder for your bot. It's great for debugging, refining answers, or maybe just being nosy. Next, let's head over to the Analytics tab. Right up on top, let's click here. This gives you a bird's eye view of how your agent is doing over time. You'll see things like the total sessions, usage, trigger counts, and how often it couldn't find an answer. Now, if you notice common questions going unanswered, that's a perfect cue to add new content or tweak your knowledge base. So yeah, ChipBot's working 24/7, but you still get to be the boss. And that's a wrap. ChipBot is up and running, and honestly, it might be the most helpful member of the Kevin Cookie Company team. Mainly because it doesn't eat the inventory. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. If you have questions or ideas for future videos, drop them in the comments. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to debug why ChipBot is recommending oatmeal raisin as the best cookie that we offer here. I mean, we all know that it's double chocolate chunk.